of all this morning is a statement that was made by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as an uprising from the election petition tribunal that's been going on. And I will read it. Now, the President Bola Tinubu has warned the members of the Presidential Elections Tribunal that removing him as president could lead to a breakdown of law and order in Nigeria. Now, this is a statement that he made admitting his failure to score 25% of votes cast in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, but said it was insufficient to overturn his victory as declared by INEC. Now, this is a statement that he has made. Now, he said any other interpretation different from this will lead to absurdity, chaos, anarchy, and alteration of the very intention of the legislature. Now, these are the words that he has used in this statement, of which a lot of people are reacting. We have the People's Democratic Party come out to lash out on him. But having read and, came across this particular statement by the president, what are your thoughts?
Yes, you see, when matters like this come up, the president has to take responsibility for that statement, even though the statement may actually have been made by his counsel to the tribunal, but he has to take responsibility for that statement. Having said that, you see, we have a situation in Nigeria where the judiciary are not really performing in a manner that they could be applauded by many Nigerians. I am saying this because, of course, recently you've heard about the United States denying visa to some judges from Nigeria. Okay, those issues are there. Now, when you talk about this 25%, it is a constitutional issue. It's a constitutional requirement that should be made, that should be. Now, the interpretation of the judiciary would now reflect what the judiciary stands for, whether they are going to uphold the constitution or not, and so on. Now, for the president to make that statement, it's unfortunate. You see, I would explain again. It may have been made by his counsel. Now, this statement is going to the judiciary as a final written address, following all these court processes, the ongoing issues that we are having, the ongoing court processes.
Yeah, the tribunal. Yes,
at the tribunal. Now, if they include such a statement, it is a threat. It's a threat to Nigeria. It's a threat to the citizens of Nigeria. It's a threat to the continuous, harmony of Nigeria, unity of Nigeria, and so on. It shouldn't. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't have been put that way. It shouldn't have come up at all. They should allow the judiciary. Some people look at it as if the president is intimidating the judiciary with that statement. Don't forget, there is another issue that people are still talking about, the 500 billion naira loan. That a part of it, 35 billion or so,
70 billion
allocated
that, to the National
to the
Assembly.
Judiciary. No,
to the judiciary.
Yeah,
yes,
that goes to the 70 billion goes to the National Assembly.
National Assembly.
That's different. The one that goes to the
35,
judiciary,
yes.
about 35 billion,
Yes.
is going to the judiciary. And people are looking at it, why make such provision to judiciary at this time that you are having a case with the judiciary? It appears that you are going to have them compromise the judgment that they are going to bring up following this matter. So when you look at situations like this, you begin to wonder how people in our nation could be bringing in matters like this that could really cause problem in Nigeria and make people lose confidence in whatever judgment will come out from the court. For example, there may be a certain other interpretation to the 25% that a candidate must gain in before he can be elected as the president. There could be other interpretations to this 25%. Let us hear from the judiciary whatever interpretations will come from the judiciary. Then we can judge and say this is from the judiciary. Not that the citizens will begin to feel that the judiciary may compromise because of so gift to the judiciary, or because it's also threats that came from the presidency. These are issues that the nation would have to, even comments from others, we should have a way of reducing the way we look at the negative aspect of it. Don't also forget, there was a time in this country after elections, some people will come out and say blood and baboons and monkeys will flow if the election does not favor them, and so on. This is not a culture that we should imbibe in our nation. I would also emphasize this part of it, that usually we think policies do these things. We have good policies in Nigeria, but we are lacking in the values. It is part of a value system that will make counsel to the president to come up with such a statement to the tribunal. It is lack of good values system that will make them to come up with this kind of statement. It is very unfortunate.
Now there's a lot of question here, because like you rightly stated, this line of conversation was thrown up by his counsel during tribunal proceedings, and one would think
in their final written address to the tribunal.
Exactly. And one would think that legal luminaries will know better, especially in putting on the congestion of those words. They are out of place, however you look at
Completely.
it. Putting chaos, anarchy, and all of those words in the same statements that you're sending out to the judiciary, it doesn't paint the president in good light
at all.
And as it's going out, nobody is saying it was his legal counsel. Everyone is saying President Bola Tinubu
has to take responsibility.
Tribunal. Exactly.
Yes.
So, but now this is something else. Now, in terms of speeches on anarchy and all during the campaigns, towards the election period, we heard there was an agitation against the Labour Party presidential candidate. People saying, oh, he needed to be imprisoned for, making anarchical statements and all of that. But we've also seen that Labour Party has come out to reply these particular statements now by the counsel of the president. And they have said that there will be no chaos if you lose. Now, the issue here is that everybody is now sort of preempting the results of the tribunal.
The outcome of the tribunal, the outcome, what the judgment would be.
Exactly.
Yes.
Where does that put us as a country? Because like you said, we need to be careful with the interpretations we are giving to this particular comments by the president's counsel to the tribunal.
Yes. We need to be careful for the interest of the unity of Nigeria. But you see, Labour Party, they have made the right statement to say, hey, there will be no chaos. Hey, there is what is making them make that statement? It means they are confident that the majority of the people voted for them. It means they are confident that they won the election, and they feel that since they won the election, people will be happy. If they are, whether it is true or false, is another aspect completely. But that statement has gone a long way to douse the situation in the country, the situation of what the people actually feel, how the people will actually react to the outcome of any judgment that will come out from the tribunal.
Okay, so this is very, very helpful. But one thing we must now agree on is that whichever sides that the tribunal decides to pitch its judgment, there will be no anarchy in the country.
There can't be any anarchy in the country.
So, but this brings me to the question of, do you think that the APC and President Bola Tinubu, for instance, if this judgment does not settle in their favor, how do you think they are going to take this? Because this is already a very loud handwriting on the wall. You're telling the tribunal not to, think twice that, whether or not they won in the FCT, this will have an effect on their standing as the current leadership of this country. If this comes otherwise, how do you think that these persons, APC, President Bola Tinubu, how do you think they'll take it?
Let us start with the leader of the party, that is His Excellency, the President of Nigeria.
Exactly.
Let us focus on him. Let us look back at his utterances since the beginning of the campaigns. You would see him speaking very confidently. It is my turn. It is my turn. I'm going to win this election. He speaks so confidently that he's going to win this election. He speaks so confidently that it is his turn. He comes up in that manner each time he wants to speak about himself. So if he says today that there will be anarchy if he is not elected, it doesn't necessarily follow that he may not comply with the judgment, with the court judgment. Of course, he knows the implication if he doesn't comply with the judgment of the tribunal, if it is against him. Of course, if it is in his favor, there is no problem. Of course, everything continues as normal. But whichever way it goes, Nigeria has come of age. Nigeria has come of age because we have transited from one government. You know, the most interesting transition we have had in this country politically was the change of government from PDP to APC. There was no anarchy, as it were. Maybe because the leader, President Jonathan, as it were at that time, took a stand and accepted defeat, as it were. So that doused tension. But should we have a president, like you have just said, should we have a president that thinks otherwise, that he would want to assert himself as the president? Of course, we have institutions in Nigeria that should be able to take care of that we are able to discuss, we are able to dialogue as a nation and come out of this situation. We have institutions. The strength of this institution is something else completely. Whether this institution is strong enough to,
and willing enough,
to be able to accommodate the issues as they may arise is another ball game completely. But we believe that these institutions would be able to handle issues as it stands. We have the National Assembly in place. We have the state governors, the state governors in place. We have the INEC. We have institutions.
We have the judiciary that
we have the judiciary.
Believe in now to rest this particular conversation. So far, so good. With all of the intels, all of the reports and the proceedings from the tribunal so far, and all the conversations, the back and forth between Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, INEC, and the APC versus the president. Do you think that the tribunal has, been journeying safely so far? And do you think that Nigerians should hold their breath and trust in the judiciary to give us the best verdict necessary, with regards to this February 25 presidential election tribunal?
One of the key elements of trust is transparency. You and I sit down and we get information. This is what is going on in court today. This is what this one said. This is what a person said. We interpret it in our own layman manner, and of course, the judiciary is also interpreting it in its own way. So now, if no matter how it comes, whatever judgment, however the judiciary may come up with their judgment, they have at least achieved that aspect of transparency. So however they would come up with their judgment, however they will be influenced, however they may be influenced, may show in whatever judgment they want to come up with, and they should be careful to make sure they strengthen the institution of the judiciary by making sure that the kind of judgment that will come up will not be a judgment that people will say, judiciary is finished in our country. They should come up with even if they want to say the President Tinubu won the election, or they want to say Atiku won the election, or they want to say the Labour Party won the election. It should be something supported by explanation and reasoning, logical presentation of why they came up with this. If you hear judgments as they roll out in the court, they don't just come and say, this judgment, this person has won, or we give it to this person. No, they don't. They would explain step by step, based on the evidence before me. You cannot say, I give judgment based on my sentiments or based on my feelings. You would give judgment based on the evidence, and you would present those evidences on judgment day and say, this made me to conclude that this is what happened. And we believe the judiciary will do that. And once they do that, it gives confidence to the people. And whatever judgment comes there should be acceptable by Nigerians.
Okay. So, but with regards to these anarchical comments made by, the legal team of the president, do you believe that this was a bad call made on behalf of the president by his legal team?
Yes, definitely. It was. It's not something that should have. It's not something that should come from the presidency, because you see, he has moved away from being a candidate of a party. He has moved away from. We are not talking APC now. We are not talking about PDP. We are talking about Nigeria presidency. We are talking about the president of Nigeria, and they are representing the president of Nigeria. And that's why I said the president would have to take responsibility for it. So his reaction to this anarchical statement is very, very important at the moment. We would expect a statement from the presidency to douse that tension that statement has created. we would expect apology from his counsel for including such in the final written address to the judiciary, and that should be immediate.
That should be immediate. But that's such a great way to, just before we wrap up on all of this, still you brought it home to where we're headed. APC. There was meant to be an NEC meeting. Then all of a sudden we are hearing that Abdullahi Adamu has resigned. So follows, his National Deputy Secretary. Both of them have resigned. And on the heel of that, the NEC meeting has been indefinitely postponed. This in wrangling within the APC now versus whilst we are almost waiting for the tribunal results. What would you make of it? This handwriting, it doesn't look good in the eyes of Nigerians.
We need to understand something. Pundits or political analysts had expected this to happen.
Yeah, of course.
There's no way the party chairman would have continued to be the party chairman beyond this period. He had to go. Look back before the convention during the campaign. You remember the statement?
So with that, do you believe that this resignation was willful, or there are forces behind?
No, certainly there are forces behind. It is not willful. Okay, let me put it this way. He has been sacked. The chairman of APC has been sacked. So the idea of a resignation letter, of course, is like giving somebody a soft landing. Come, resign. It's a soft landing. Resign. And he knew that if he should go for that convention, he would be impeached. So there was no point for him to go disgrace himself. So the easier way is just send your resignation. That's why he had to send his resignation to the chief of staff of the president, even when the president was aware. He had to do that quickly such that he would not have to face the disgrace of being impeached from office.
So what do you think this means for the APC now going forward? Taking Adamu out of the picture, what do you think of them going forward?
APC, they are going to strengthen themselves. It's a political party. APC is amalgamation of different ideologies. CPC, if you understand how it were formed, they are coming. CPC has finished their government. They have handed it over to Action Party or Action Congress. So I think they are about three. Remember New PDP?
That came in. Yes, New PDP also.
They are in there in APC. So maybe next time is their turn to also take over power. So this is the time of this other caucus, this other group to have government. So they will have their own people in government. That is why you see when the National Assembly, the election of the principal officer, so the party chairman already lost power at that time, and the Senate president, it was obvious to us that he's already in the kitchen cabinet of the president, and what he wants will be what it be, because it's not about what he wants, it's about what the caucus, what the people want.
So all of this is about satisfying the needs of the caucus, as
consolidating the party more, because you are having your loyalists, drawing your loyalists closer to yourself. The people that are going to emerge as party chairman, secretary, and so on, these people are acting chairman, acting secretary.
Yes.
Yeah, they are going to be core loyalists of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Core loyalists of his. So he's consolidating. Consolidating himself, fixing his foundation very well in government to run the country.
All right.
Yes.
Great conversation, great time. Thank you for your perspective this morning.
Thank you.